Choosing to add support to our model is as easy as checking the support box. This will now generate support, which we can see if we click Slice and look at the preview, and we see these support structures underneath the fox's chin that when printed out would look like this. But when we click the support box, we also have this pop-up box on the right that says Extruder 1 or Extruder 2. This is Cura asking us which of the two nozzle heads of the printers do you want support to come out of, and do you want it printed in the same material as your model. Right now we have Extruder 1 selected, which is the same extruder that's printing out the plastic of our model. We can check this by clicking or right-clicking on our model and seeing that it says Print Selected Model with Extruder 1 PLA. But what if we want to print our support with that PVA material that dissolves in water that Jude and I talked about? We're going to have to say that we want our support printed from extruder number 2, so a different extruder, and then we're also going to have to change the material that's coming out of this extruder. The way that we select materials that the printer is using is by clicking in this big top bar. When we click on it, a menu drops down that has 1 for extruder number 1 and 2 for extruder number 2. We see that 1 is already set to PLA and the print core is set to AA 0.4. AA 0.4 is the actual print head that prints PLA plastic. So if we want our model to actually print support with PVA, we need to click on extruder number 2, click on material, and then go to generic, because we buy the off-brand stuff, and select PVA. And you can see it immediately lights up red. It's telling us there's something wrong. And what we also need to change is the print core. Different print cores can print different materials. So we need to select the BB 0.4 print core, which is a print core that can print PVA plastic. And you can see the red goes away, so that works. So now we see that in this top bar, extruder 1 is set to generic PLA, extruder 2 is set to generic PVA, and we have extruder 2 selected for our support. So now if I click Slice, our print time is a lot longer, but if I click on Preview, we now see two different colors of materials. We see our Fox in yellow and our PVA in purple. And if we look at this example, this is what the model would actually look like if it was printed out. This also explains what these two boxes are over here. The 1 is for extruder 1, the 2 is for extruder 2, and this is just for selecting a model, saying which material do you want it printed with. So if I clicked on box 2 with the Fox selected, it's saying I will print your Fox entirely in PVA, which we don't want because then our model would dissolve in water. So I'll click back to extruder 1, and now our model is printing with PLA plastic. But how do we know in the first place whether or not our model needs support? Models need support if they have any kind of overhangs that don't have anything underneath them. The way that Cura tries to tell us that something has an overhang is by lighting it up in red. So by having the bottom of the fox's nose in red, it's telling us that, hey, this angle is too steep. I won't be able to print this without there being support underneath this. And that's why, if we look at the examples that we printed out, we see the support underneath that nose to hold it up while it was printing. If we didn't have that support there, the print head would be spiraling out plastic when it got to that nose because it would be printing on top of nothing. So that's how you select support, and that's how you select which extruder it comes from. If you do want to print your support in the same plastic that you're printing your model, because it is a lot less time, just know that it can sometimes be really hard to snap that plastic off, and you may be working on your model for a while after it's actually printed. Printing it with PVA support and your model will come out a lot nicer, but it also takes a lot more time. So know that printing with PVA support might only be possible for smaller models where you have some extra print time available. Now let's talk about adhesion.